We're here at the D6 conference, and here at the conference, you mentioned that many family ministry models are great at equipping parents, but they don't prioritize marriages. Why does marriage often take a back seat in family ministry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's so many reasons. Generally, I think of a couple. One would be organizationally or structurally. A lot of times what happens is it's the children's pastor who gets a couple years older, and then he becomes the family minister. And so he knows kids ministry, he knows junior high, high school ministry, maybe college ministry, and that's kind of his domain. And that doesn't really cross over that. Sometimes sometimes it actually is part of his job description. Or her job description would be to care for marriages, but then there's just only so many calories you can burn in a day, and they just kind of can't get to that. So I think a lot of times there's structural things. Two, I think we don't do a good job talking about the importance of marriage in all things family ministry. And so the illustration I gave, today earlier was that of the source of a river. And a lot of times when in family ministry, we're starting about halfway down the river. So we're teaching parents to disciple their kids. But what happens, I've just seen this over and over and over again. If you get a mom and dad who love each other and love Jesus, if they don't have any of your really awesome tools, they'll probably, as an overflow, just disciple their kids. And then conversely, there's some incredible tools out there. Randall House has some of the people that you serve have created their own. But parents won't use, if Pam and I, my wife, if we were fighting like cats and dogs and you sent a great, sheet home with me to talk about my kids, that's not going to happen. It won't happen at my kitchen table. It won't happen in my living room. It sure won't happen in each other's presence. But conversely, we love Jesus and we love each other. Whether you gave us a take-home sheet or not from church, over lunch, we're probably just as an outflow of who we are. We're going to talk about that. So I think there's lots of reasons. Sometimes our own marriages aren't very good. Sometimes, senior pastor or family minister, their marriages aren't good. They feel a little disingenuous talking about that. There's a couple things. So I don't know all the reasons why, but I do know it's really important.
Well, in your work with newlyweds, parents with children, empty nesters, basically every group that's out there in every life stage, do you see one group that seems to need help more than others, or is this prevalent for all ages and all life stages?
There's nobody that doesn't need help. It used to be that you would think about the 50-plus crew as like, hey, they've kind of made it at that point. They're running downhill with the wind at their back. That's actually one of the demographics. I don't know the last couple years, but previously it was the one demographic that was climbing in divorce rates. So people are living longer, and they're just going, you know what? I still got a few more years, and if I'm not happy, I'm out. And so that's been prevalent. So you would have thought they were immune. They're not. First couple years of marriage are really, really strategic. Often lots of divorces there. Teenagers are tough. But I would say if there's just one where it's just hard just to survive, get out of bed in the morning, it's with little kids. And that's where the church is, I think, has a really incredible opportunity there just to serve those families. They're probably in the greatest just need in every way, physically, emotionally, and they need a lot of help. So as do their marriages.
Yeah. Well, your ministry does many things, but one of the key components is helping to enrich and restore marriages. Now, ideally, every marriage would be perfect with no issues whatsoever. I don't think that's ever existed in the course of marriage.
Since the fall, yeah.
So what are some of the biggest issues that you're seeing Christian couples face today as it relates to marriage?
Yeah, God, that's such a great question. The biggest issues. Well, James 4:1 would tell us selfishness. That's why we fight. And so everything else is just an outworking, of that. But I think you've got a lot of busyness. And so people have a really hard time just connecting the way that they did. My sin and selfishness still would have surfaced 60, 70 years ago before I had electricity and internet and things like that. But I had a lot more just time just to be with my wife, right? So I think busyness would be one. I think, overemphasis on kids and all the kids' sports, although I don't think that's the reason. I think that there's just a general lack of just desire, honoring of marriage. I think maybe marriage isn't being as honored as it once was, or definitely as it should be. That might be one. It feels like the only two options are to have a marriage that people want to interview you about, write books about, put you on Oprah to figure out why, or you get divorced. And that's not how it works. And generally, the most those marriages where they're just completely over the top. A lot of times they don't end up making it, but they do the book tour and then they, I can tell you names on that. So I think that it's just, hey, it's hard. Marriage is tough. That I think about that verse, 1 Corinthians 7:28. It's the one promise about marriage that there is, that Paul says those who marry will have trouble, and so I think just a normalizing of that and understanding that man, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be incredible. But man, it's God's design, and he who finds a wife finds a good thing, So yeah, there's a couple thoughts.